The day started like any other, moving at an unhurried pace. The afternoon sun streamed through the windows, casting a warm glow across the cozy house, making it feel even more welcoming. My nephew Jack had been living with me for some time, and he had gone out to grab some food, leaving me to enjoy the rare peace and quiet. I treasured moments like these. Time alone allowed me to reflect, enjoy my hobbies, and just breathe. But something felt different that day. A sudden urge awoke in me, stirring feelings I hadn't acknowledged in a long time. Wandering through the house, lost in thought, I eventually found myself in the bedroom. It was a place where dreams were nurtured, where comfort resided. I sat on the edge of the bed, and a wave of relief washed over me, allowing my mind to drift to thoughts of intimacy and closeness. As I closed my eyes, my heart began to race. The simple act of running my fingers along my skin felt soothing, familiar, yet exciting. I couldn't help but think of Jack, not just as my nephew, but in a way that made me question these forbidden emotions. His touch, the way he looked at me, the memories of shared moments danced through my mind. Desire grew within me, overwhelming my rational thoughts. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps echoed down the hallway, breaking through the haze of my thoughts. I jolted in surprise, but couldn't bring myself to stop. Jack called out, announcing his return, but my body was already caught in the thrill of the moment. The door creaked open, and there he stood, groceries in hand, his eyes widening in shock at the sight before him. We both froze. Time seemed to stop as our gazes locked. My face flushed with embarrassment, and yet, amidst the awkwardness, there was a hint of something else, excitement. I struggled to find the words to explain, but nothing came out. Jack's expression shifted from shock to something more curious, something more intrigued. I noticed a flicker in his eyes, a silent acknowledgement of what had just happened. He didn't move. I didn't know whether to cover myself or embrace the tension that hung between us. My vulnerable state was laid bare before him, and for a moment, it felt like we both understood what was unspoken. Jack's voice broke the silence, his tone low and uncertain. "I didn't mean to interrupt," he said, his breath catching slightly. He mentioned needing something before we started dinner, but we both knew the conversation had veered into uncharted territory. A surge of heat coursed through me as I made the bold decision to see what would happen next. "Perhaps you could join me," I whispered, testing the waters. The look on Jack's face was a mixture of surprise and contemplation. The air between us felt electric, buzzing with unspoken tension. He set the grocery bags down and took a step closer, his gaze never leaving mine. "Are you sure?" he asked, his voice filled with both desire and hesitation. I nodded, my heart pounding. The idea of sharing this intimate moment with Jack felt both thrilling and terrifying. As he knelt beside the bed, the initial awkwardness began to dissolve, replaced by something more primal, more honest. His hand reached out, grazing my arm, and the touch sent a spark through me. The vulnerability that had once filled the room was replaced by anticipation, a hunger we both silently acknowledged. "I've always wanted to explore this side of you," Jack murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. His touch was tentative at first, as if testing the boundaries of what was possible. But the moment he pulled me closer, I felt a sense of safety in his arms. Every touch, every glance held a deeper meaning, as if we were rediscovering one another. Despite the unexpected nature of it all, the closeness between us felt undeniable, as if it had been simmering beneath the surface for far too long. As we shared that intimate connection, the walls that had once stood between us, the habits and distance that had weakened our relationship, seemed to fall away. As we kissed, the world around us seemed to fade away, leaving only the two of us. Each touch felt more intense than the last, as if we were peeling back layers of time, rediscovering the passion that had always been there. Every kiss deepened our connection, reigniting the spark that had first drawn us together. His lips moved down my neck, sending a warm rush through me, and the soft brush of his breath left me shivering with anticipation. I found myself craving the feel of his lips on mine again as he whispered, "You're beautiful." In that moment, it felt as though the entire room was wrapped in the closeness we were building. We were taking our time, getting to know each other once more, but now with a tenderness that felt both exciting and familiar. His hands moved over my body, tracing lines he'd come to know so well, yet each touch seemed to uncover new pleasures. Every gasp, every shared breath, brought us closer together, a reminder of how deeply connected we still were. Hours seemed to slip away, lost in the world we had created between us. Our whispers, our laughter, our hearts beat in perfect unison, as if time itself was bending to the rhythm of our shared desire. It felt like we were shedding the doubts and routines that had kept us apart for too long, rediscovering what it meant to truly connect. I felt wanted, loved, and completely alive in those intimate moments. As our kisses grew stronger and our bodies pressed closer, the sense of moving forward together was undeniable. I whispered that I wanted to talk about everything with him, looking into his eyes to ensure he understood. His face showed a blend of desire and determination, and when he nodded, I knew this was just the beginning of our journey to truly find each other again. We were letting go of the fears and barriers that had kept us distant, like two souls reunited after years apart, eager to explore the depths of our connection once more. Jack's hands on my waist pulled me closer, and our bodies moved together effortlessly, as though they were made to fit perfectly. The touch of his warm skin ignited something deep inside me, and I surrendered to the feelings that engulfed us. Our laughter and soft whispers intertwined, tying us together in a bond that was both fragile and powerful. Each kiss, each caress, was a silent promise to keep our love alive, to continue discovering each other anew. The outside world ceased to exist. All that mattered was the love growing between us, flourishing in ways we had long desired. What had started as a quiet afternoon together had evolved into a journey of rediscovery, filled with passion, intimacy, and a rekindled spark that had never truly disappeared. It had just been waiting for this moment to be set free. As we melted into each other, the walls we had built around our hearts crumbled with each tender touch and passionate kiss. Every brush of his fingers brought back forgotten memories of desire, rekindling a fire inside me I hadn't realized had dimmed. The tension between us escalated, soft kisses turning into heated embraces, our bodies moving together with an intensity that felt destined, as though they had always belonged this way. The desire pulsed between us, synchronized with the rhythm of our heartbeats, filling the quiet room with a palpable energy. When he whispered, "Tell me what you want," his breath warm against my ear, it sent a shiver down my spine. His voice was powerful, stirring something primal inside me, making my heartbeat quicken. When I met his gaze, I saw love mixed with hunger, and I answered, my voice thick with emotion, "I want to feel everything with you." At that moment, a surge of strength washed over me. I had opened myself to him, inviting him into the space of shared closeness, and now I wanted more. It felt like everything had conspired to bring us to this point, where our love could grow without the restraints of doubt or habit. He kissed me again, and as we lost ourselves in each other, we forged a new connection, thrilling, yet a little terrifying in its intensity. We moved faster, driven by a deep need to bridge the emotional gap that had formed between us over the years. With every kiss, every touch, we dug deeper into each other's souls, until the air around us thickened with desire. Our breaths mingled, our hearts beat as one, and in those moments, each caress became a promise of devotion, weaving a web of intimacy that held us together. We were no longer just husband and wife. We were lovers, rediscovering the flame that had always burned inside us. As things became more intense, it felt as though we were exactly where we were meant to be, a place where our love could thrive, free of the barriers that had once held us back.